Can you explain just the basics of scoring in figure skating? Because I think a lot of people this time of year, they tune into the Olympics and they see the points up in the top left and they really don't know what's going on. So can you kind of just give like a brief overview of how scoring works for figure skating?
Yes. The drama is that in 2002, everything kind of blew up because of the Russians. Because a French judge basically admitted that she'd been pressured into ranking the Russian judge or the
Bribed,
Russians
perhaps?
higher. Yes. So it used to be like a 6.0 system, is what they called it. And it kind of ranked the skaters, but it wasn't as technical, and judges were able to have their favorites a lot better. And now we have the IJS system, which is complicated. So you see all the numbers and stuff, and they're weird. But there's two scores that add up together. So the score that you'll see at the top, that's like a running total as skaters are skating, basically, is the technical score. And that's more of like the baseline. So if you land a triple flip, there's a certain like number given to you at that certain time saying this is how much you're being given. But then the judges, because they're judging and kind of different things, they can decide, okay, well, it was worth that much, but it like had an extra edge on it that was a little extra, so they'll be able to give slightly more points to it. Or they came out of it and put their toe pick down early, so they'll take off a few points. But that's just like the base value of the jump, and the judges can decide whether it goes higher or lower than that amount. And then the component part to it is what will get added at the end that you don't really see. But that's all the like flowy stuff. Did it look smooth? How did you interpret the music? Did we get a special feeling in our hearts kind of moment? Uh, and that's pretty much how it goes in the simplistic version.
A special feeling in your heart.
Special feeling in your heart. But you get those moments.
You'll get them this Olympics if you're watching. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Danielle, I want to ask you really about Nathan Chen and your thoughts in general on Nathan Chen. Like, last Olympics did not go very well for him at all.
Mm-hmm.
And I know you were one of a huge number of people that were very disappointed just in like how he performed, including himself, of course. Like, nobody's more disappointed than yourself when you just drop the ball a little bit. And part of the reason for that is obviously because he has the potential and has been winning world championships all the time. So what are your thoughts generally on the last Olympics, this Olympics? Do you think he's going to be able to figure it out? Like, what are your general thoughts on Nathan Chen?
Yeah, there's so much pressure on him. I mean, number one, like the United States really only shot at earning gold this year. Maybe in dance we can earn gold. That'll be a later conversation, but there's just a lot of pressure. And in the figure skating world, like figure skating only gets like the topic of conversation once in 4 years. And so that pressure of like, it's not only just like for yourself, but it's also like for the sport. We see a huge increase in people applying, but it is not a sport that you just think of automatically off the top of your head. So there's so much pressure on him. And last Olympics, he did horribly in the short program, and then he won the long program, but it wasn't enough to bring him back, which was just like such a killer, because you could see like how much he just worked so hard for it, and it was so heartbreaking. But I don't know. He's just ridiculous. He's a 3-time world champ. He's the 6-time national champion now. I think Dick Button is the only other guy who's won 6 national champions. So hopefully next year he'll win the 7th and like be on top of whatever that stat is. He also goes to Yale. So he's also just ridiculously smart. He majors in statistics and data science. He's on a break for the Olympics right now because we can't all do everything. But like, honestly, he's crazy. I think he was like 10 at the juvenile nationals when he won. And my dad was like, look at this little kid. He's so cute. And I looked at him and I was like, this guy is going to be amazing. And yeah, he's honestly been great. He has this footwork in this Benny and the Jets segment that is
it's just so good.
It's so good. And it's in his free program. It's at the very end. Like, I can just see it now. Like, everyone knows that he's going to win. We're standing applauding the golden moment. I can see it now. Not to jinx anything, but he's also the quad king. He's the only man to have ever landed 5 different types of quads in competition. And really the only guy who's cool, give him a run for his money is Yuzuru Hanyu, who he also trains with in the same rink. So this guy's won the last 2 Olympics, and he's coming back to defend his title. Really only because this guy wants to land a quad axel, which Nathan Chen does not have. And Yuzuru has basically said, I want to come back literally only to land the quad axel at the Olympics. So we'll see. They're both really close. But Nathan's won a lot against him recently. So hopefully that's a good sign.
What are you hoping to see from the rest of the Team USA?
I do not expect us to do well in pairs.
Cool.
We're pretty bad in pairs. Top 8 maybe. But yeah, it's pretty bad. Dance, we should be competitive. Hopefully a bronze at worst. Maybe better than that. The French are really good at dance. They're kind of like the favored ones, but dance is a little bit of a weird one. There's no jumps. There's very little spins. It's like it's very, very technical. So there's a lot of room for error there. But hopefully a bronze at worst there. And then the women, the Russian women would have to implode for us to have a shot at a medal on the podium. There's 3 of them that are, they've all qualified. They all have quads. They're all ridiculously consistent. It's happened before, but they're all so good. Our top US skater, her name's Alyssa Liu. She's beautiful to watch. She's a little bit newer to the scene and a little bit younger. I think she's 17 or 18, I want to say. But she doesn't have a quad. She's had some growth spurts recently. She just changed coaches, and she didn't skate the free program at nationals because she tested positive for COVID. So there's just been a lot of things. We just haven't seen a lot of her recently. So it's kind of hard to see, how would she do? They put her on the team because she probably is the best ranked for the United States, but we really haven't seen her a lot this season. So we'll see what happens.
You talked about a bunch of those skaters. Who is your all-time favorite skater, if you had to pick 1 or 2?
My favorite growing up was Alyssa Cisney. She was just gorgeously flexible. She always did this perfect Beelman spin at the end. She was probably my favorite. She's from the United States. But my other top 2 would be Yoona Kim from South Korea. She won 2 Olympics ago. She just had a great story. She's really done a lot for South Korea and been outside of skating too. She's just done a lot for them. And then recently I've really loved Gracie Gold. She just brought a lot of light to mental illnesses in the sport too, and has come back, and everyone kind of was hoping she'd make the Olympic team this year too. And she did a really good short program, and the long, it didn't go quite her way, but it was really cool to see her come back after taking a break and just being really open with those kinds of things. So probably one of those 3.
Can you talk a little bit about the mental space you have to be in figure skating? We're talking about Nathan Chen and just kind of how, he didn't perform up to his standards at the last Olympics. And it just kind of makes me also think a little bit about Simone Biles in gymnastics this last summer games. That's very recent that happened. And not that they're ever the exact same thing, but I think we are becoming more aware of the mental challenges, not only just dealing with issues, but just how hard it is to have the correct mentality when it comes to such a precise sport like gymnastics or like figure skating. So if you just want to talk a little bit about just...
Yeah, I never had the right headspace for it. I tried the super competitive route with IJS, this new scoring system, for 1 season. And I was not cut out for it, because everything that you do, in the back of my head, I'd be thinking, oh, I stepped this wrong. Oh, I did this edge instead of this edge. You have to submit what you're going to do to the judges so they know what you're doing in advance. If you change it, they take off points. It gets in your head a lot. And so I was just not in the right place to do it. And so I switched back to the other system, because in not the Olympics kind of thing, the lower levels that I was in, you could decide kind of which system you wanted to go through. And that just was not the vibe for me. So just all those little things add up into your head, and it is super technical. And so how your body moves, even the slightest thing will change you and throw you off. And when you do it constant enough, you can accept those changes and it'll be okay. If I slightly move my shoulder one way, I can save it. But when you're really diving deep and, oh, I fell on this, or, oh, I did this, it just kind of snowballs into, now we're here, and it hasn't ended that well. And it can be dangerous, like Simone Biles from gymnastics. There's definitely potential for severe injury. So it takes a lot of mental capacity, and a lot of skaters have been even more open about going to therapy or going to different things just to get in the right headspace, because it is so pressurized, especially now with so much social media and everyone is seeing what you're doing. So
So I know that the Olympic Committee has discussed potentially adding synchronized skating into future Olympics. Given what we've kind of talked about, what are your thoughts on whether or not they should do it, what it might look like? Are you pro, against, neutral? All the
Definitely
standards.
for it. I think it's gorgeous to watch. I have a lot of friends that do it. So I've seen it in college spaces. I never actually applied to go to U of M, but that was really the only other college I thought about going to because I wanted to do synchronized skating. I think it would allow more skaters to be competitive outside of jumping because it gives skaters a longer lifespan. Like I could probably get myself back in shape. I'd have to work really hard, but like I could potentially get myself back in shape to do something like that because it's not as strenuous on your body. But it goes back kind of like the ice dance. Like it's more technical, everyone doing the same thing at the same time. It takes a lot of like bandwidth to put everything together. And I think just creatively it'd bring a different aspect of it to the Olympics that would really be beneficial in a, I don't know, just dancer-ish kind of way.
Yeah.
That special place in your heart.
So explain to a complete dumbo what the differences would be between ice dancing and synchronized skating. What would be like the
Yes.
differences between those, and how could I tell as a dumbo?
The biggest thing is the amount of people on the ice. So dance is just between the two people. Synchronized skating, I don't know the exact number. Between 16 and maybe 30. That's a large range. But
Ooh.
lots of people on
boy.
the ice doing very similar things. Think kind of like ice show if you went. You guys probably haven't been to see an ice show.
Yeah, again,
It's
demo.
too long. Oh yeah, Disney on Ice. It's like the end. It's the very
That
end when
is
everyone
peak
comes
culture.
out. And you all do the same thing at the same time. A little more to it than that, but yes.
Awesome.
So Danielle, thanks for being here. Appreciate it so much. Thanks for your insight on all that, and go Team USA.